Definitely trouble in paradise here. The dark side of Sydney is revealed in this video, be warned. This week we visit Sydney Heads in Sydney Harbour. Welcome to one of the busiest cities in Australia, Sydney, an international metropolis. Sydney Heads is beautiful and deadly. Not climb over. That is incredible. Entered the ocean. Oh man, I'm out of breath. This is double fenced off for some reason. Obviously this is the favourite spot and they've got to actually make the fence higher. Oh, there we go, look at that. Look at that. But fences alone won't help. Definitely trouble in paradise here. So this is the anchor of the Dunbar. You can see where people get really hooked on their walking around here. Have a look at this. It's very private, even though you're in a major capital city of the world. Now a stealth camp at Watson's Bay. Had a great night's sleep, now off to Sydney Heads. There's one thing about around here, when you say good morning to people, if you do in Brisbane, they just go, yeah, good morning. Here they just look at you as if you're a serial killer. So with the van life, I want to do a bit of stealth camping in Sydney just to show you guys it is possible. Are we a society or a collection of individuals? Population 4.7 million people.
It starts with one thing. I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind.
Interesting fact, the Sydney Harbour Bridge was built in 1932. In April of 1932, 25 people committed suicide by jumping off that bridge.
Watch the time go right out the window. Trying to hold on, didn't even know I wasted it all just to watch you go. I kept
In one day, 158,000 vehicles crossed the bridge and 88,000 go under with the Sydney Harbour Tunnel. It was always a dream of mine to drive the van over this bridge.
I don't know why, it doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind, I designed this rhyme to remind myself how I tried so hard. In spite of the way you were mocking me, acting like I was part of your property. Remembering all the times you fought with me, I'm surprised it got so. Things aren't the way they were before. You wouldn't even recognize me anymore. Not that you knew me back then, but it all comes back to me in the end. You kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to me will eventually be.
I plan on taking a walk on the southern side of the Sydney Heads tomorrow morning. A beautiful place, but it has a dark side.
Can go for all this. There's only one thing you should know. I've put my trust in you, pushed as far as I can go. For all this, there's only one thing you should know. I tried
When you're in Sydney, you're looking for a stealth camp, have a look for all these boats and caravans and trailers parked on the side of the road. Put yourself in between them. It gives you a great little spot and you're not detectable. As you can see, I'm not in a bloody dodgy suburb. It's a really nice suburb. My stealth camp for the night. Absolutely brilliant it was. Thank you, Sydney. Beautiful old home. Okay guys, I'm pretty confident with this park up that I've got, so we're going to go for a walk. There's Sydney Harbour National Park, Gap Bluff. Quite a few steps to climb. We should get a very good view of the city when we get up the top of this. It's a little bit more lenient down here, from what I gather, than the Gold Coast and places like that, where I think it's $600 per person in the van they fine you. Whereas here, if you've got a legal park and you sleep in the van, doesn't really matter. So as you read, it's perfectly legal to camp. The caveat being you must have a legal park. For your own safety, do not climb over the fence. Sometimes parks are booked out. Accommodation, school holidays or whatever. Look at this. This is absolutely beautiful here. Have a look at that. Have a look at that. Beautiful. Something like you'd see on the Ocean Road. Sydney Heads is a place of stunning beauty. Got the thongs on too. Haven't learnt my lesson, have I? I've got my runners in there. All right. Hold on to hope, there's always help. Yeah, a lot of poor buggers jump off here. This is the problem. Yeah, there's always, the next day is always better, guys. It's always better. What happened today is nothing tomorrow. You just got to bloody punch through it. So look at this. Oh, this is beautiful. Do not climb over the... Oh my God, no wonder. Look at that. That is incredible. Another tragedy. Sadly, the night I was staying there, a young man took his own life after an horrific event I'm not going to go into, but it wasn't good. And yeah, his body was found later on floating in Sydney Harbour. I'm a bit of an early bird, but I have been stealth camping at the Heads. It's actually excellent. I think I found the trick with Sydney. Other people have sort of made it out that was really easy, but I went to a few places, I just couldn't get a park, especially around Manly. I couldn't get a park the back streets anywhere. Yeah, some suburbs like Manly you've got to avoid. So I've got a few chores to do today. I've got my water down to 50% and I'd like to get it back up. It's 75 litre cold, 10 litre hot. I want to get that water level back up to around 100 again, and that way I don't have to really water budget. All these natural rock formations. Oh, here we go. Here we go. You see these locks at a lot of places like this. Even installing fences like this doesn't stop the tragedies. Physical barriers alone will not stop this. We need a comprehensive approach. What is that? I just found something of interest, so I've come back to show you. That's one thing I wanted to show you guys, is when you do come here, you'll notice all the signs, you know, about people thinking about ending their lives, which is really sad. But they've actually got every one of these points heavily CCT footaged, which is great. They might have a chance to save people. So there it is. They're everywhere. Whenever you get a point where there's easy access, these cameras are there keeping an eye. And I suppose too they could keep an eye out too for especially girls trying to train and have some sicko in the bush. So that's really good to know. It'd be a good paddle, that. C1 canoes, even with the racing skis, the surf lifesaving ones, will be absolutely brilliant out here. Sydney Heads, a place of stunning beauty, where the natural world meets the bustling life of one of the world's great cities. But behind this picturesque facade lies a disturbing reality. Obviously this is the favourite spot, and they've got to actually make the fence higher. So sad. This problem's not unique to Australia, obviously. It's unique to the world. I lost my own father that way. Not the same way, but same classification. Horrible, horrible thing to have to live with. Anyway, you learn to just keep yourself busy. They say post-traumatic stress disorder. I reckon I had it, but I just threw myself into university and studied my ass off. And I did really well. I never actually used the degrees, but it was more so just to keep my mental health, because it was absolutely atrocious, like shocking thing to happen, you know. I'm 61 now. I was 43 at the time, and 17 years ago, it still feels like yesterday. And you know what? All those problems that were there that day are all gone in no time. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But my dad freaked out because he got diagnosed with asbestosis, so I suppose in some ways it's a little bit different, but every case is different, isn't it? All I can say is don't do it. The next day is going to be better no matter what. It's always better. So this is really sad that it's come to this. Oh, might go a little bit further. Definitely trouble in paradise here. Drink, I think I will. And not every day is going to be the perfect day. Like, that's why they've got these fences up here. Some people, you know, are doing it tough inside their head. And yeah, I know they say, are you okay? But oh, man, there's been some pretty smart people and talented people that have done it. So yeah, they don't call it the black dog for nothing. But whatever you do, think about your family. Just think, there's a thing called survivors of suicide, and what it is you might be gone, but your family for the rest of their lives have got to try and deal with this. Why is the first thing, and then after that it's like, yeah, a little bit of anger, you might want to kick them up the arse, but then after that again, you just realise that the next day's always better. That's what I'm trying to drum through in this bloody video. The next day's always better. I saw Max and Lee, like now it's Max and Oki. Poor old Max, he tried everything to help Lee, and Lee was struggling. She told everyone she was struggling. She was struggling, but yeah, I was just like, such a waste. She was out of prime. She was super fit. She was fitter than anyone else I'd ever seen on the Vanlife videos, and she just wasn't fit in the head. And yeah, I struggled to contemplate how she was such an intelligent girl, couldn't see the next day's always better. We've done the Michael Hutchins video. Now it says his cause of death was suicide, but I think it's more misadventure really. I've done a little bit of research on this, and nah, it wasn't like they're portraying. I suppose it's an easier way for the coroner to say, oh no, suicide, you know. But really, if you dig deeper into it, there was a combination of things, but that's the problem. It's always a combination of things. Every day, everyone's life is a combination of things. You just need to use the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Just, if you're having a bad day, do something simple. Go for a run, go for a walk. Do what I'm doing. Go to do YouTube videos if you can share your life a bit. Just do something other than that one thing that can never, ever, ever be reversed. So the next day is always better. And in a year's time, what was that problem about? That's the stupid thing about it all. It's whatever problem it is. I know that many people have done this. Every problem they've had is really in their own head. People struggle. People hold on to a plank of wood for 2 weeks after a shipwreck because their will to live is so strong, the human will to live. But then you have this situation with this phenomena which has been around forever, way back. It's been around. It's just we're trying to deal with it, but the problem is it doesn't seem to be working. Like, look at these high fences. And maybe it's more so everyone's driven, money in capital cities and that, by capital worth, net worth, all this, when really it should be the measurement of happiness. The big Australia, yeah, okay, we're bringing in another 1 million people or whatever it is. There's plenty of land, but there's no infrastructure like for that at the moment, just in my opinion, like for just a big swamp of people. Isn't it strange how before all the drama happened, 2020 or whatever, they were picking and choosing who could get a job or not. Now they're screaming for people. Now they're saying, oh, listen, you know, bring them all in, you know. Wait a minute. The people that were here before, the people that were here, you ignored them. And if anything, you outsourced their work. So one thing about Sydney you do notice pretty quick, driving around the van that is yeah, the city hub is crowded, you can't get a park. But you don't have to go far before you're in the bush. One thing about Sydney Harbour and how it was a target during the Second World War, it's pretty obvious. It's a lot easier to defend. If you've got the high ground, you've got the advantage, and if you hold this Sydney Harbour Heads during a war, yeah, you're at a great advantage actually. It's a bit sad with the high fences around here though, isn't it? I noticed they're building more. It must be just getting worse. What do you do? I know. It's had many shipwrecks, and we're going to visit here one of its more famous ones. There's an old sea anchor. The Dunbar is wrecked here 500 yards south of the spot. Heavy northeast gale at night, August 20th, 1857. From a total of 122, there was only one survivor. This is her anchor, was recovered by local residents 50 years later and is now set up in memory of the tragic event. Right on Sydney's doorstep, another tragedy. The van's ahead, so that's good.
It starts with
One thing, I don't know why.
The rate of suicides at Sydney Heads is alarming. It is a tragic reminder of the silent mental health crisis that many are facing. Thank you. Make sure you subscribe and like the video. Not climb over.